Another episode of SandCity Sports. Yes, sir. Let's go around and check. Let's get ourselves straightened out here. There we go. You know what I mean? Is that amazing? I hide things from myself. Okay. Twitter is good. Yes, sir. Let's check the IG. IG is good. Yes, sir. Let's go ahead, Facebook. All right. That's right. Cleveland v. Detroit and the NBA MVP. Yes, indeed. SandCity Sports in the building. By for the fans. Facebook is good. Let's go over here and check the YouTube. Yes, sir. Make sure Twitch is good. Yes, sir. Going in across the board. All right. Twitch is good. And we are good to go here on SandCity Sports Weekend Edition, Sunday check-in. Yes, indeed. A little bit later on the East Coast again, but it is what it is. This is when the time is available for the Passion Project. So this is when we do what we have to do. On the left coast, you guys might still have some sunshine. What is it? Only about 8 o'clock out west. So the sun is no doubt shining. Good environs. Today was the nicest day of the year. Okay, beautiful thing out there refereeing. Shout out to the flagman. Shout out to Cape Cod Youth Sports. A great day of a flag football and just, local community gathering. And we had sunshine. You know what I mean? I'm getting out of the game in the car, running the errands here and there. I look, it's like 75 degrees, 80 degrees. You know what I mean? Unbelievable as far as I'm concerned, based on where we came from with the snowpocalypse. All right. The storm of 26, which surpassed the blizzard of 78. Just, power outages, feet and feet of snow. We had a winter that came through. We certainly did. But looking like we've turned the corner in terms of our weather. You know what I mean? Cape Cod kid, I might be sweating a little bit, in this episode, but that's all good. All right, humidity, you can come on down. I got the AC, I got the air conditioning unit that's in the garage, ready to go, ready to get back into the rotation. Okay, we can stop using the space heater. We can stop using that space heater and get the AC going on. So I am all for it. But hope everyone out there in television land is doing well. Again, a little bit later on the East Coast, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Thrilled to be here. We got a lot to discuss. Folks on the left coast, you know what I mean, 8 o'clock, you're just getting into your evening. And so come on in, rock with your boys, share a little bit of community for the next, hour plus. All right, let's go ahead and let's get our volume right. Get our volume right now that we've made our introduction. And let's get ready to rock and roll over here. Let's get ready to rock and roll, okay? You know what this is. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. SandCity to the business. I am your host, Kid Collier, artist known as Andre K. What's good? Thanks so much for joining SandCity Sports. Okay? Cape Cod Kid, awesome 80s in the building. By the way, shout out, you know what I mean? Got that Run DC. Y'all remember? Huh? Got my Run DC on for Barack. All right? During a previous administration, one of the greatest administrations as far as I'm concerned. You can explain, you can jump in. All right, we're not going to dive deep into the politics, but you can jump in if you feel different. We right? My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing. All right, democracy. We have multiple views. All right, so you're more than welcome to express how you feel. All right, I'm rocking with Barack today. We got that Run DC in the building right now for this episode of SandCity Sports. Okay, and look, tonight that was a AAU drubbing. That was a BABC Leo Papillo type of drubbing. Okay, as we get into the grassroots, this was actually one of the sneaker circuits, the Under Armour circuit, was going on this weekend. The Middlesex Magic, who we're very proud of, out of the Commonwealth, was out and about doing their thing, playing very well. Duncan Robinson, who Stan Van big up. Stan Van had to give a big up to Duncan Robinson because he was out there holding down the fort as Detroit was. I mean, where's Ludacris? Okay, hold on a second here, folks. Hold on a second here. We gotta get something. All right. We gotta get something. Okay, we gotta get something. Right. This is my prep school years right here. What? When your boy was at Winchington, this was. We need a little bit more. Hey. What? Hey. The Cavaliers was out there throwing them bows. They were, hey. Stan Van said the only one that he saw standing tall for the Pistons was Duncan Robinson. Out there putting forth effort and bringing the energy. Meanwhile, the people in Cleveland was getting them. Hey. With the early 2000s, this was in constant rotation in the prep school days. Shout out to Winchington. Shout out to the Green Wave. Shout out to the NEPSEC Conference. The Utes out there. You know what I mean? Hey. I remember it like it was yesterday. Hey. Going to Cheshire Academy for a matchup. One Mr. Francisco Garcia, who you may remember, took the Louisville Cardinals to the Final Four in 2005, where they lost to the eventual national champion North Carolina Tar Heels, led by mostly Sean May led the charge in 05. Again, I know I'm going back 2 decades, but for the sport, this is a sports show. All right, so we're gonna dive deep, and y'all might remember. But 05, Sean May led the charge, Ray Felton as well, and then the third All-American wasn't necessarily on the same page, but he handled his business. Mr. Rashad McCants, who you probably see on Gil's Arena, does a nice job, has his other platforms. Those 2 players both led the NEPSEC conference when I was there in the early 2000s. They was both, you know what I mean, doing their thing. So I remember being on the road, went to a game at Cheshire Academy, where Francisco was holding court, and quite a battle. I remember running oh my goodness. I remember running a cross-country race earlier in the season. Get to this cross-country race, I'm out there at the starting line, and I'm getting ready to go. And there's these hoopers, right? And I'm at the starting line going through my routine, and they just kind of giving me like the eye, kind of like the side eye, just, and I'm just getting, because it was a cross-country event, but I mean, I think maybe they could see that I'm coming from the basketball tradition, so they was kind of looking at me like, you know what I mean? You look, Obviously, you don't know because you can't necessarily see, but Francisco Garcia out of NYC, he's 6'7", you know what I mean? Kind of a lot like a Doug Christie, coach of Sacramento, that type of a frame. Cisco played for Sacramento amongst other teams, during the time in the league. Anyway, long story not so long. Kind of looking at me, I'm kind of looking at them, like, what I mean? Obviously, it's not like, what are you looking at? These guys are bigger and stronger than me. But what caught my attention is they was running this cross-country race in Air Force Ones. It's running the cross-country race. I was like, what's going on? Obviously, they were getting in shape for the basketball season, which they would go on to play very well in. But yeah, we was throwing bows at that time, early 2000s. All right, and Cleveland Cavaliers just came through, right, and just destroyed the Detroit Pistons. So that's where we're going to start. I have some questions for Cade. I have some questions for also, you know what I mean, Ant-Man. I'm big on, it's not that you lose, it's how you lose. Okay? You can take an L. But I don't have time for these blowouts. That speaks to me on a different level. Okay? When you're throwing in the white towel, when you're looking around and okay, I have a problem with that. I have an issue with that. I do. All right, so we're gonna start there. As Big Ben Maller says, we're gonna start in the losers' locker room, and then we're gonna work our way. We're gonna work our way forward. I got to get my art lined up. Should have had this. I might have to just, because I know I have it. Just got to remember where you put the different. Goodness gracious. All right. I have my art. Now I'm having trouble finding my art that I know is there. Creating a bad production situation. All right, goodness. Thank you. All right, let's go. Right, said it before. I'll continue. There we go. Thank you. And there's your boy. Okay. Everybody's got a plan. All right, until you get, all right, till you get punched in the mouth. You got a plan. All right, until that first power punch is landed, and then all bets are off. And it's and okay. As they say, off to the races. Okay, so for me, I'm trying to understand how Detroit is down 16, 17 at the half, and then I look up on the third quarter and they're down 30. Okay, as in, what exactly are you doing? Never mind at home, right? That right there was Miami Heat special. That was an Eric Spoelstra, okay, 2-for-1. That was a Pat Riley masterclass. That's how the Miami Heat do teams, and would have done teams this offseason had Bam Adebayo been able to get back into that game. They beat Charlotte. Again, we know the Miami Heat have been to the NBA Finals as the 8th seed. Okay, but the point of fact is, my issue with, yes, you, Cade Cunningham, you, because you're walking point, you're the superstar, you're the leader. It's not that you lose, it's how you lose. It was crickets in Detroit tonight. Silence, meaning they took your advantage and turned it into your disadvantage. That silencio. That's louder than any megaphone, right? when your crowd is hushed, looking at you like, what's going on? And frankly, that reminds me of what had to happen to the Detroit Lions. Another drubbing at home to the Washington Redskins when they were favored. The year after, they broke through and should have been in the Super Bowl because they had the San Francisco 49ers up against the ropes on the road. And came out in the second half and didn't believe in themselves and gave away that lead. Come back the next year stronger. They did lose Aiden Hutchinson that year, but still had the home game, had the momentum, and Dan Quinn, first year on the job, lightning in a bottle, they just came through and snatched it from Detroit. And their home field advantage became a disadvantage. Tonight, the Detroit Pistons' home court advantage became a disadvantage because they came out there and laid an egg. All right? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Okay? Where's Rocky Balboa at? Where's Creed at? I don't know what we're on now. Creed 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Life more about taking punches, slipping punches, than delivering Mike Tyson level knockouts. There's only one Iron Mike for a reason, to do what he did. By the way, go ahead and check out the fight, Teddy Atlas. The fight. Available on Amazon, Audible. Okay? It's in constant rotation for me. Also, Maybe You'll Never Cry Again. Autobiography of Bernie Mac, read by the late, great Bernie Mac. On constant rotation for me. Shout out to Audible. I don't even mind. You know what I mean? There's so much great stuff. Okay? Life more about taking punches, taking them hits, slipping them, ducking them, bobbing them, weaving them. All right? Then when you have the chance to connect into, as Cleveland did tonight, under the capable leadership of Kenny Atkinson, right? So my problem, and I have a problem, folks, and we're going to get to the winner's side. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to discuss the situation facing my New York Knicks, who, by the way, this is exact the same place where we were last year with the New York Knicks, okay? Before you jettisoned a very capable coach in Tom Thibodeau. Yes, exact same place. New York Knicks last year dethroned a dynasty, before Boston did the self-inflicted harm and got rid of Jrue Holiday. But the New York Knicks were riding high, took out the defending champions, eyes on the NBA Finals, okay? And then Rick Carlisle, who certainly knows his business, came into town. Tyrese Halliburton moonshot, goes through, and then to put him on a whole different, in a whole different way. Now, what I will say about Mike Brown, and I'll make this point again, he has shown the ability to adjust, to adapt, to take feedback from the players. That's what you've been hearing when they were going through their go-through against the Atlanta Hawks and having their issues. They didn't have any issues in the second round, against Phil. There was no issues to be seen. But Mike Brown, when things were getting low, he opened it up. What do you guys think? Okay, let's bring some extra marinara into there. Bring a little extra seasoning and come up with something new. And they certainly have. Just smacking the taste out of people's mouth the last 6 games. All I'm saying, and this is not a hateration take at all right? Even though Tom Thibodeau is my coach, 4-star general, Chicago Bulls, you know what you need to do. Okay, you know what you need to do. Thought Billy Donovan was a good coach. Had no idea why it wasn't working out over the years, but bring in another general and get it going right. Okay. But New York Knicks, again, they were riding high, invincible NBA Finals, and then a team came in with a tried and true coach, i.e. Rick Carlisle. This now it's Kenny Atkinson, who will remember would have gotten a championship, as far as I'm concerned, for Kevin Durant and James Harden and Kyrie Irving if they would accept that they need a coach, but they didn't need a coach, so they got what they got. But Kenny Atkinson, please, this man knows his business. One of the best player development guys in all of basketball. He knows his business. He's showing you after Cleveland got knocked out last year in the first round. Now they're coming into Madison Square Garden hungry. Stan Van said it, having a little bit of an edge and an advantage because they're in a rhythm. Knicks have to get back into a rhythm. All right, it's gonna, look, we got two great. This Final Four is serious. For me, I like to see the Knicks get the first championship in 50 years. No two ways about it. Okay, even though they jettison my coach, that's how I feel about it. All right, but Cleveland is coming in dangerous. They're dangerous. Okay, all four of these teams, they got the front court in Mobley and Jared Allen. Bigs, versatile, defend, rebound. Mobley stepping outside, hitting that three, number 3 overall pick. Okay, all-star grade. Strus coming from the Miami tradition. Donovan Mitchell embracing this team concept. Got a road dog that he vibes with. For whatever reason, he wasn't vibing with Garland. Him and Harden are vibing, and it's early on. James sometimes, you know what I mean. You better catch lightning in the bottle with big. I was gonna call him Big Game James. He ain't worthy. He ain't worthy. But he's very in an unfamiliar. He could change something because we've been used to James Harden, right, being unworthy in high leverage pressure moments. But he went to Cleveland because he wanted to win. Now he got a chance to win. And he's with a coach that's going to put him in position to win if he'll come up under that tutelage. So they're dangerous. And my New York Knicks also dangerous. Okay, they're starting 5. They put the team together. Okay. This year, I think, the roster is different, and they want to go pace and space and run up and down while still maintaining the defensive principles. They've been able to do it. All right. Salute. I'm still upset about Ragu being, I'm upset about Ragu going down with the non-contact injury, and I'm upset about Ragu leaving New York. That's just me. Okay, but Jordan Clarkson off the bench, young Tyler Kolek, Pride of Cumberland, Rhode Island off the bench, Deuce McBride, others, right? They got people that they can throw in there, and it's working. So this is like it's going 7, and then out west, SandCity been on this from day one in terms of the Spurs. We checked the receipts. So we got a 7-game series out west. Yes, I said a 7-game series. Okay? Don't you want to talk about youth and experience, San Antonio Spurs? Forget about it. That culture, Dylan Harper's ready today. Stephon Castle coming from the St. Anthony's, Danny Hurley tradition. He's ready today. We know Victor's a unicorn. He's ready, and De'Aaron is their veteran. So their first 4, then you got Shai Gilgeous, you got Williams, you got Chet, throw iHeart in there. Okay, so it's about to go down. 2 great series on the horizon. But you got to plan till you get punched in the mouth. I'm talking to you, Kate. Talking to you. Thought I might have. Everything seems good. Keep my ears out, eyes open. Everything is good. Can send a text message. Did I get a text message? I didn't get a text message. What I did get, and what we will discuss, I've just been getting nothing but positive reviews about Michael Jackson movie directed by Antoine Fuqua. So I was leery at first. I didn't trust it, but the reviews have just kept coming back. All right, one after another, after another, after another. And so, hey, respect. I got to see it. Make time for it. And we're gonna, yes, indeed, go from there. But yeah, Cade, we got to get Cade up here. We're gonna get Cade on the screen. I gotta hone in on this youngster. I can't let him off the hook. All right, he has to be held accountable. Before we move over into the winner's locker room. No, that's not the good art. Let this be a lesson. I did all that talking to find some art, and it's not the right art. So I got to get the right art for Cade Cunningham. How's everybody out there doing? SandCity, by for the fans. Yes, indeed. How we doing? It's good. The IG is good. It's everything on Facebook. I know it's a little bit later on the East Coast, but the sun is shining and the living is good. This is a huge breakthrough for us, for me, for the Commonwealth, for New England, based on the winter that we had. Now for us to finally break through and get this nice weather. It's a beautiful thing. So let's get our art lined up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cleveland v. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, sir. Should have done this first. All right, and let's get into this. Let's get into this. All right. So look, young Cade, right? Talk about Detroit, not being a great half court team. They need to get out and run in transition, play off of their defense, which was non-existent tonight, of course. But at a certain point in time, right? And let me say this, that I respect how Cade has gone into his bag. He's been more, right, of a scoring point guard rather than a facilitator, right? Has a nice touch from three. He's obviously got the size, get to the basket, go mid-range, so on and forth. But look, at a certain point in time, you have to remember, you got to get back into you got to go back to your roots. You got to go back to your Montverde roots. Okay? We know that Kate Cunningham at a Montverde with Scotty Barnes. Okay, team that was just ridiculous. Had a couple others on, like, just ridiculous. And yeah, Scotty Barnes also fell to the Cleveland Cavaliers, 7-game series. My point is, in instances within that series, you're just watching it, and Scotty Barnes has just said, two talented teams, yada, yada, yada. I'm just the most dominant player on the court. I'm the best overall player on both sides of the ball, and you're just going to have to deal with me for these 48 minutes, period. Don't care about what you're doing, what scheme, what adjustment. I am the supernova on this court. I'm bigger, stronger, faster than y'all. And so, irregardless, hostile environment, team's out of rhythm, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I'm going to impose my will on you folks. I'll say that. All right? And Cade Cunningham, right, has that capability. Anthony Edwards has that capability. If, for nothing else, right? You notice how LeBron James uses his Herculean strength now that he's in year 21, 22, 23, whatever the case may be, right? We were calling for LeBron to use his man-child strength in year 2, 3, and 4. Okay? He's gotten burlier as he's gotten older, maybe lost some lightning in his first step. But he's had the superhuman strength his entire NBA career, the Hulk-like strength. And now you see him that his explosiveness is not there, using that. And LeBron just saying, I'm just bigger and stronger than you. So I'm going to take you down to the block, or just run. I'm just going to move you under the basket and drop the ball on the court. And that's how I'm going to score these days. 4,000 points past what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did. Well, the same is true for the Cade Cunninghams and the Anthony Edwards and the Scotty Barnes of the world, who still have their explosiveness, okay, to go along with their strength. Right? So Cade Cunningham, you're 5, 6 inches taller than Donovan Mitchell, 2, 3 inches taller than James Harden. right? You're maybe about the same height, giving up an inch to Evan Mobley, maybe 2 inches to Jared Allen. At a certain time, when this other team has it cooking, you got to put together a 5, a 7, a 10-point push, run, where you're either getting the free throw line or just getting high percentage shots that you are therefore executing. That's what you got to do, right? Don't know if you saw, because we don't player hate around here. We congratulate on SandCity Sports. Don't know if you saw on Gil's Arena, they were doing the top, greatest of all time. And, Skip Bayless had had LeBron James ninth, and so Skip and Kenyon Martin, Brandon Jennings, they chopping it up. And, Jennings has LeBron greatest of all time, so he didn't want to hear all that. And, McCants had, they were just kind of going back and forth. But the bottom line, and for me, no, LeBron is top 5, top 3, top 2 for me. When we really want to dig down, because we got to give respect to the greats. We got to get Kareem has to receive some love in the conversation, right? I think Magic, we don't appreciate, because his career was cut short. We do appreciate Magic. Let's remember, 91 Magic was in the finals against a one Mr. Michael Jordan. So he was taking the Lakers to the finals in a whole new decade and would have continued to do so. He could have, we didn't know at this time. There's no reason why his career couldn't continue. Magic Johnson is healthy, successful businessman, 30 years after his diagnosis. Okay, he had more NBA finals. He had more possible championships to be a part of. Got the 5 in the 80s. He think he would have at least got one more in the 90s. Okay. But the fact of the matter, in terms of, and it's a great, go ahead and check them out. We show love. Nightcap is on right now. Actually, we got Nightcap on Amazon, which is interesting. That's they're after their post game, but obviously Nightcap is Unc, Ocho, and ISO. They do a great job. Check them out. I'll be over there, once I'm done doing what I'm doing. Right? Okay, so we show love, show love to the great programs, the Maller Militia, Late Night coming up, Big Ben, Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. We showing love. Okay, across the board. I learn from everybody. After school, I get my Freddie and Harry on ESPN. All right, I learn from everybody. I appreciate all the folks that's have the place that they've earned, and I'm trying to learn. Have the place that they've earned, and I'm trying to learn. That's what it is. It's a beautiful thing. Back to Cade and back to the Skip Bayless conversation with the point that Skip makes, he doubles down on, triples down on, and people, when we're having this all-time great conversation, again, and why Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time for many of us, myself included, is that, he, throughout his career, and we don't always highlight the 80s when he was not winning championships, but the 63 points he put on the Boston Celtics, the 86 Boston Celtics, Larry Bird said that was a divine being in some sneakers. Right? I don't, Michael Jordan, 86. After, the one season he dealt with injuries, he's healthy the rest of his career. But he just looked around and said, look, man, Boston Celtics, 1986, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, Bill Walton off the bench, amongst others, Chris Ford, the list goes on. Right? I met Chris Ford at basketball camp when I was in 8th grade, when I was an opinionated, at times obstinate young person. Pretty cool experience. Thinking on the wonder years, the glory days. What's my point here? My point, Michael Jordan just took over games. Okay? 86, that's 6. Right. All-time great team. Yeah, I'm just taking over. I'm not losing. I don't believe in losing. Point, period, end of story. Okay? So did the Bulls lose that game, yes, because they're playing an all-time great team and they weren't ready yet. But the fact of the matter is they didn't get beat by 30. They didn't get manhandled, embarrassed. Like we see with the AAU nonsense. Okay? You get beat by 40 points. You gave the other team, as far as I'm concerned, if you have any basketball IQ or competency, you gave them 20 points. Lack of effort, lack of effort, lack of effort, turnovers, bad shots, bad body language, bad continuity. The list goes. You just gifted them 20 points of the 40 points plus that you got handed. Because a lot of youth sports, grassroots sports, AAU, whatever you want to call it, is front running. Kids are used to being the better athletes, playing from ahead, high-fiving, and just alpha, mad dogging teams that have less confidence and less skill. And that's what you lean into, to the point where you play a team with comparable skill and confidence and some coaching. That's taking the lawn view, that's not intimidated by your jerseys, your swagger, your warm-up music, all of this smoke and mirror stuff. We're here to play a game. We put the work in. We believe in ourselves. Let's see what happens. Which, by the way, the Middlesex Magic built their program on, through which Duncan Robinson was developed. We ain't about all the pomp and circumstance. We're about precision and efficiency and proving that we belong here. We're going to prove it to you. We're not expecting. We don't have a sense of entitlement because we walked in the door with gear, and chutzpah. We're going to come out, stick together, and see where the chips may fall. All right? And that's what needs to be instilled and ingrained in the youth process. I know everybody wants to win. I remember specifically, I used to throw fits when I lost. Fits. Thought the world was coming to an end. Crying, blaming, screaming. Used to go bananas losing those youth games. All right, and I see it now with the kids coming up. Again, as times have changed, every generation has more than the previous. So I had options. My parents' generation didn't have. These kids have options that I didn't have, so on and forth. But what I see is there's just opportunity for these kids to get out and participate. We didn't have all these AAU grassroots teams. When I was a young warthog coming up, to mention my prep school days, early 2000s, AAU was for Division I players, mostly. Some Division II, some, but you didn't have all these teams that you could get onto and play games. You were on the playground. Maybe 1 or 2 teams for a region. Now there's like 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? But with the greater options that the kids have now, sometimes they're not being pushed because as soon as somebody challenges them, I'm just going to go play for somebody else. Sound familiar? Okay, this is what a lot of high school sports has become. This is certainly what college has become. Somebody sets a boundary, holds you accountable. No. All right. You're not recognizing my value. I'm going to go and try to, thousands of people in the transfer portal. Are you kidding me? Certainly the coaches have some part to play in this, but bananas. Let's come back to Cade. And my expectation for Cade. And yes, you, Anthony Edwards, I'm talking to you as well. Okay? No, we had a good season, number 1 in the East, and that's fine. You know who had good seasons in years past and was an up-and-coming team? The Memphis Grizzlies. Where are they right now? In the same spot. Ja, they got Bane, and they got Jaren Jackson, and Steven Adams is there for leadership, and Dylan Collins, right? They had all the pieces. And they was, and they came onto the court with all that swagger, talking that trash, not intimidated by anybody, going head to head, toe to toe with the Warriors. Okay. And after the Warriors dispatched with them, they went on and won a championship in their golden years. Took one away from the Boston Celtics. Again, this is pre-Derek White, Boston Celtics. That pivotal trade. And then, of course, they add Drew Holiday to Derek White, and they had a dynasty, which they subsequently broke up. Okay, we'll talk about the Celtics a little bit, all this talk about Giannis. Celtics need Drew Holiday back. That's just period. Should have never given up Drew. They need to focus their attention on getting Drew back and running it back, which is what they had before. Period. All right, Cade. Yes, you. Young Lion. Star. Yes, I'm not calling him a superstar. He's a star. All right. I need more, man. All right. You lose to Cleveland in Game 7. That's fine. You got picked apart. That's my issue, my concern. And no, I'm not letting you off the hook. And, well, he's young and, what we love and potential, right? What's up, Chris? Hey, congratulations. Thanks for checking in. Nephew graduated from Cal Berkeley. Hey, a good friend of mine, his daughter graduated today out in Boston. Curry College is great. So this is the season for those things. First things first, I appreciate the quick check-in. Chris, you got to be with your family. It's only, 8:30, so you're at the graduation. You got to take all that in. SandCity's going to be here. We're going to be here. We got some of this nice weather, so the vibe is good. A little bit late on the East Coast. Never mind that. Okay, so congratulations to your family, all the folks. We're going into. It's a busy time right now in education, but a glorious time. College kids are graduating. High school kids have prom coming up, graduation, senior awards, all those types of things are coming up. So that's very exciting. So good stuff, right? Young folks, it's once in a lifetime, right? And again, that fire, which I'm sure Chris can relate, myself, it's been many moons, right? Since it was me walking across the stage, getting a diploma, being in prep school. I remember it like it was yesterday. And now that, I'm in middle age and I'm in, in that quote unquote real world, day to day grind, the rat race, the whole work-life balance, adulting that we do. I don't mind mentioning, young folks, the challenges. You're going to continue to be challenged in different ways as you get older. You're going to be these different challenges, but that's always going to be a factor of life for sure. But just thinking back on those formative years, the wonder years, as a youth, and then the high school and college years, out there striving, ready to take on the world. Those memories and those experiences, that fire is got to burn. It's got to burn for the long term. So it's tough when you're going through it because everything is, you're coming into what my old man would say was your prime years, and it's all coming so fast. But certainly make the most, as I'm sure you'll try to do. Okay, you don't got to rush to get old, right? It's tough to have the patience as you're starting out. We have certainly more patience as we get older, just because you start to slow down. But congratulations, and you're getting, the graduates are start setting off on next phase of their journey, and that's a beautiful thing. Salute, Cade. Amen. You can't. I need you to go down with the ship. I need you to go down fighting. I need you to lose by 5, 7 points, under 10. Okay, this 40 point nonsense. Okay, that's not a good look. That's unbecoming. All right. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's unbecoming. All right. Cade seems to be got a good head and the shoulders, got some character. Right. There's talk. Okay, that they're gonna try to do some things in Detroit. Actually, we can pull that up for you in terms of what Detroit is trying to do, some moves that they're trying to make, right? And I'm all for these moves. I'm all for it. Go ahead and get it. But bottom line, in terms of the moves, and we'll get it for you on the screen in a second here. In terms of the moves that they may be making. All right, let me see. I know I took a picture. You're still going to find yourself, yes, you Cade, okay, in these knockdown, drag out battles. I didn't take a picture. It was in my fantasy chat. I might have to pull it up again. I thought I did. And that's the worst thing. I might have to go pull it up in terms of some of the moves that Detroit is there we go. There we go. So let's get this on the screen. We'll discuss a little bit. Because the comment, Detroit's not a great half court team. You look at it, they're relying heavily on Cade. Tobias Harris can get a bucket. Jalen Duren, the pride of Philly, won himself an EYBL championship with Team Final. Okay, these are the best and brightest out of the Philadelphia area. You know what I mean? But Jalen Duren played on the same grassroots team as Derek Lively. How about that front court? They were the 2 and 3 ranked players in the country at that time. Okay. Right. So he's not. The point of fact is, relative to Detroit's offense, their half court offense, which has been lacked, because you got really your bucket getters are your point guard, Cade, who's done a better job of that, but and then Tobias Harris. Those are your bucket getters. So you need that third scoring option to really put a Soar, right? Who's he's an energy guy. Right? He doesn't have a 3-point shot, and that doesn't really concern me because what he's giving you on the defensive end, what he's giving you with energy points, I'm good. But Jalen Duren's another guy. He's a rich man's DeAndre Ayton. A DeAndre Ayton with an actual motor. But the talk is these guys they need some scoring. So I like this deal that's being floated. Go ahead and bring in Laurie. Go ahead and get Laurie, get Trey Murphy, right? Give so it's not that offensive burden isn't all on Cade. Doesn't excuse him. Okay. Anthony Edwards has other offensive weapons, right? You got Julius Randle, go out there, get some buckets. Naz Reid can get buckets. Jaden McDaniels can get buckets, as he showed. Obviously, Ragu could go ahead and get him some buckets. Right, guys, the bench went crazy against, but that's neither here nor there, because at the end of the day, if we're talking about superstars, that means you superimpose your will on the game. It's what a superstar is, what a superstar does. Not everybody's a superstar. Again, AAUization of everything. All this potential talk. All right? Which is good. But that's also, again, as we talk about the wonder years, your formative years, something I think about all the time. My grandfather, Herbie Derby, he'd always say, "How you doing, champ?" He'd always say, "How you doing, champ?" It's not a Wednesday, but we'll get Herbie Derby up on the screen. You just call me champ. How you doing? And as you're coming up, your elementary years, your middle, you just a lot of encouragement, people encouraging you. Pursue your dreams. Pursue your interests. Continue to work hard. Right? To give you that, and what they're doing is they're giving you a sense of self, sense of confidence, because that you're going to need in the world. You're going to need out there. Okay? But again, yes, Laurie, trade these things, and they make Detroit better. But that doesn't take away my overarching issue with what happened just a short time ago. Okay, is that right? LeBron had good teams. I don't care what anybody says in Cleveland. That's why they had the best record in the Eastern Conference 2 years in a row. Neither of which years they won the Eastern Conference to give us the matchup that we deserved, which is LeBron versus Kobe in an NBA Finals. We never got to see that in 09 and 010 when we should have seen that, because LeBron was never able to break through with very talented rosters. Yeah, talking about, he didn't have an All-NBA first team guy, but those teams were solid. Antoine Jameson could play. They had a solid backcourt with Mo Williams and Delonte West. They had Zydrunas Ilgauskas. They had Anderson Varejao. They brought in Shaquille O'Neal. Okay? You got Boobie Gibson off the bench. He wasn't necessarily playing with Team USA guys like he did when he was in Miami, where he went 2-2 in the NBA Finals with the Team USA guys. But there's a reason you're the best team in the Eastern Conference 2 straight years. And then you don't make the finals both of those years. The worst of those losses was the Orlando Magic in 09, which is freaking crazy. Complaining about ABC, XYZ. You just got mad dog by a drive and kick team. No excuses. Then you didn't even make it to the conference finals the year before, the next year in 2010. Got beat by the Boston Celtics in the divisional round and lost a Game 5 in Cleveland and didn't put up much of a fight. Speaking of teams that don't put up much of a fight. And we were deprived of the LeBron Kobe NBA Finals that we should have seen in 09 and 010. Okay? Let a Boston Celtics team healthy again, because again, Boston wasn't healthy in 09. Garnett tears his ACL late in the season against Utah. So that was the red carpet was laid out for LeBron. Didn't take it. Now Garnett's back in 2010. Cleveland still had the better record in the regular season. Couldn't capitalize. Talk about those teams weren't talented. They were plenty talented. They weren't together in the crunch because their leader, LeBron James, had one eye on the door. I don't like this. I don't like that, man. No. You got to take over. Yes, you, LeBron James. Take over. And again, back to Skip Bayless, the point that he makes, and he's right. We haven't seen a player dominate. Or we've seen instances, but Michael Jordan, when the rubber met the road, particularly pre-baseball Michael Jordan, okay? Down 0-2 against the New York Knicks in 93 when it was New York's year. Just got to a point, it's just like, I am better than you. You are not. I don't care about John Starks. I don't care about Derek Harper. I don't care about Charles Oakley. I don't care about Charles Smith. I don't care about Patrick Ewing. I don't care about the guys you got off the bench. Anthony Mason. So I am better than all of you. Coached, by the way, by Pat Riley, those Knicks teams, if we have forgotten, I'm just better than you. And there's nothing you're going to do about it. Going to the NBA Finals, take the first 2 games on the road against the Phoenix Suns, I'm better than you. That could have been Charles Barkley's championship. Home court advantage, MVP season. But Charles Barkley, when he finally got through to his NBA Finals, which he didn't return to, which is unfortunate because he should 94 and 95 were his opportunities. Just got in those high leverage moments where, it's like somebody's going to blink and it's not going to be me. So if Detroit does get Laurie, they do bring in Trey Murphy, great. It doesn't solve their inherent problem. It starts at the top. It starts with Cade Cunningham. which starts with an eye of the tiger, particularly when the going gets tough. Okay? And I'm not buying that potential nonsense. The Grizzlies had potential a couple years ago. They've completely collapsed. Okay? So, better not be, hope not to, I said, better not, hope not, right? For Cade, for Ant-Man, for these super, emerging stars, you better go down with the ship. Okay? Go down with the ship. All right, folks, let's continue on. SandCity in the building, a little bit late night, but good time for it, as I continue to say. So let's stay in the Eastern Conference. We'll head west. We'll head west thereafter. Everyone is good. Okay. So let's stay out east. And try to understand right? What we got going on. So I've said this and I'll say it again and again. Kyrie could have gotten his championship. Kevin Durant rewritten the narrative about him. Won a championship outside of a super team, James Harden. Had they left well enough alone and accepted the coaching and the system of Kenny Atkinson, and allowed him to lead and guide them to an NBA Finals. It's a completely different Kyrie. Okay. He had not found himself, so to speak. Okay, that only occurred under the capable leadership of Jason Kidd. Okay. And by the way, the only other coach besides Jason Kidd to get through to Kyrie Irving. Yeah. You know who that is? That's the one Mr. Kevin Boyle of Montvert fame, right? It's Kevin Boyle, who we know today because of the Cade Cunninghams, because of the Scotty Barnes, because of the Joel Embiids. But he got his start, okay, coaching at St. Pat's and trying to usurp, trying to upend with some success. But, what happened is, you meaning we being people from the great state of New Jersey, we had two dynasties that emerged to compete against each other and dominate everybody else. Okay, those two dynasties being the St. Patrick's Shamrocks and the St. Anthony's Friars, led by, of course, Bobby Hurley Sr. Okay, that was the rivalry, whereas those two teams finished number 1 and number 2 in America certain years. Okay, about 30 some odd miles away from each other in the great state of New Jersey. All right, so Kevin Boyle took his model from, the New Jersey, greater New York metropolitan area, and he brought it into the modern professionalized high school era, where these players, from all over the world go to these finishing schools, these basketball academies, i.e. Montvert, i.e. Montvert Academy, i.e. IMG Academy, Link Academy, whichever one you want to choose. And, Nike has come in writ large, not just running the sneaker circuit in the grassroots, the spring season, but running the high school circuit during the regular season. right? So all these top programs, the Brewster Academies in New Hampshire, the Montverts, the IMGs, right? They want to be on the Nike circuit because Nike is the predominant power in grassroots basketball. Adidas and Under Armour are there, but Nike is the leader, just as they're the leader, globally in terms of sneaker sales. Right? And that's what we got. Okay, but the point is, from this time until Kyrie landed in Dallas, no coach, and I'm not counting the time he was at Duke because he was only there for 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, the majority of which he was hurt. Okay, coaches have not been able to get through to him, and he has tanked teams. Happened here in Boston, happened in Brooklyn. You talk about Cleveland, running Byron Scott, running Mike Brown out of town. All right. Jason Kidd unlocked Kyrie, got him to a finals before they decided to blow that up for an aging star. All right. Let's come back. What could have been? What could have been? For Brooklyn, for Kyrie, for Kevin Durant, for James Harden. I've said that, I'm saying it again. I got no problem repeating that statement. Okay, the bottom line fact of the matter is Kenny Atkinson is no doggone joke, folks. All right? So he's bringing this Cleveland Cavaliers team into the Mecca, into NYC. Hey, CP the franchise, shout out to Knicks Fan TV. My Knicks fandom out there, yes, I'm upset about Tibbs. Yes, I'm all in with Mike Brown and what's going on. I want the Knicks to win the championship this year. I don't think they're the favorites. I want them to win it anyway. Okay? First championship in 50 years. That's what I'm pulling for. Do not underestimate this Cleveland Cavaliers team, folks. All right? They're not, as J Mac would say, shout out to Jason McIntyre, shout out to Straight Fire, the Herd. Haven't seen the Herd in far too long. Right? My life is busy, but it's not busy enough for my passions, one of which is journalism, one of which is sports media. Okay? So I have to make time for the things that lift me up, fill me up. Okay, plenty of time for the hum and drum, the work-life balance, all the things that go on, and love my job, love teaching. Certainly a lot of just administrative things that go on in teaching that didn't happen, years ago, but it is what it is. But yeah, shout out to J-Mac, shout out to Straight Fire. Okay. The point that I'm making is one of the things he says is, oh, that's a spicy take. Spicy take. Folks, and look, Cleveland Cavaliers, they're not going to jump off the, right? It's not when, SGA, Wemby, Jalen Brunson, Cat, the people, Harden, we were from, we know him. He's kind of getting into the back half of his career. We know Donovan Mitchell, his first conference finals. I don't think people appreciate how good Evan Mobley is and how good he's going to continue to be. Jared Allen, what he brings to the table defensively, rebounding, energy. Strus coming from the Miami tradition. Kenny Atkinson, he's a first-rate coach, first-rate strategist, first-rate player development guy, first-rate culture builder. Okay? You know what I mean? What do we learn around us? All right, Joey Knish, played by John Turturro. He said, you don't want to lock horns with these guys. They're going to chew you up, bro. They're going to take that whole bankroll. You don't want to lock horns with these guys. He wanted them in type of individuals. Now, obviously, Mike Brown ain't ducking no smoke. Okay, Mike Brown ready for this. Okay, built, you know what I mean? He's tried and true as well. Coming from the Popovich tradition, he's done quite a lot of winning in his NBA career over the years. Okay, all I'm saying is, right, it's just a rematch of last year for the Knicks. Okay, hot team, skilled coach. That's why I have this going 7. I'm gonna go with the Knicks to win it. But this is going to be a battle, right? Because Cleveland, they're not going to quit on themselves. Again, last year when Indiana got them, they had some injuries. They weren't Kenny Atkinson was kind of moving with hands behind his back. Okay, now, tap my shoulder, knock on wood. We hope, that the health continues for both teams. And it's going to be, this is going to be a battle. So New York, you know what I mean? Knicks are riding high. I get that. You're going, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some now. And see if you can be resilient and come back. Okay? This Final Four is tough. So we got any one of these teams can win it. I personally feel the power is in the West. That's how I feel about it. And I feel the power is with the young Lions in San Antonio. Yes, I said what I said. No slight on O.K.C. All right? But if you look at this top four, who are the best four players on these teams? If you say De'Aaron Fox, who can get it, Stephon Castle, who's young, but he's a St. Anthony's Danny Hurley kid. He's not going to be afraid of these moments. Stephon Castle is not. That's my prediction. He's not going to point fingers. He's not going to, he's going to just put his head down and grind and work and put the pressure on these teams. Dylan Harper, same thing. Ron Harper's son. Ron Harper was a dog. Check out mid to late 80s Ron Harper when he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, yes. Jordan was the brightest star, but Ron Harper pushed him in those great series. Cleveland Cavaliers, Mark Price, Hot Rod Williams, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, Craig Elo. What? Battles. Okay, so this young Harper, older brothers in the league, he's young, but I'm telling you, so on the other side of the line, saying, Oklahoma City, they have the experience, they've been there, you know what I mean? That's okay, they know what this is, but they're just matchup for matchup, pound for pound. And we'll come over to that series. We got something. Okay, but in terms of the Eastern Conference, right? Let's stay east before we go. Before we head to the West. How's everybody out there in television land doing? Doing good. Hope your weekend was good. Hey. It's a beautiful thing right now on the Cape. Our weather's finally broken through. We don't got feet of snow piled up. Nicest day of the year today. Got into the 70s, sun blazing down. Forecast looks good for this coming up week. Sunshine every day. Get rid of them April showers finally. So it's good. But let's So let's go ahead and do it this way. Skip the Cavaliers. Mm-hmm. That's the old look Cavaliers. Let's get the new look Cavaliers. And say, hey, right? Everybody doing? Everybody's good in television land? Okay. Let's come from here. Let's get the Cavs on the screen. You know, they're riding high in the saddle right now. As they should be. Oh, why did I do that? Sharing is caring. As soon as I said to share, hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button. Okay. So to have the guard play, have the front court, the shooters, the workers. Got the coaching, got the culture. All right. All the pieces to win a series and to win, you know, to win a championship. Okay. I'm looking at their starting five, and I look at the New York Knicks. I don't see, right? I don't see much of a difference. Let me just go ahead and find out where my New York Knicks are. We'll do it this way, you know. There we go. So, hey, Cleveland over here, tried and true. Coming into MSG. Right? Lock horns with New York Knicks. Waiting for them. Right? Every position, every matchup is going to be a battle. You got Brunson and Mitchell. You got Bridges and Harden. Josh Hart giving up size against Mobley. Okay, see if he can still rebound out of position. It's going to be tough. Catman and Jared Allen. So what do we oh, and I forgot OG and Strauss. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. I'm picking the Knicks. You know, that's a head and a heart pick. You know, these Knicks, they're that starting five: Brunson, Bridges, OG, Hart as your stretch four, Catman. You know, beyond what you want to talk about in terms of Hart being undersized, but he's proven time and time again that he's going to rebound out of position. So I got the Knicks in 7. And as they like to say on Knicks Fan TV, go New York, go New York, go. All right, we got a good one. All right, let's head west. Hold on a second. Before we head west, stay in the Eastern Conference, folks. We're going to stay east. We need to discuss the Giannis rumors. All right, what's the best landing spot for Giannis Antetokounmpo? All right, all the rage. There's been a lot of overtures and discussion about Boston, which I'm against. Okay, right? Don't want to hear it. All right, let's just take a look here. All righty. Just check the couple updates. I don't think Boston is a appropriate, good, best landing space for Giannis Antetokounmpo. All right, Miami is I feel where Giannis would fit in best. Okay, now that might involve one Mr. Tyler Hero returning to Wisconsin. So be it. Okay. Now Tyler Hero in and of himself, it's like you're gonna have to maybe involve a third team. If I'm the Heat, I'm not giving up Bam. I'm just not doing it. I want to partner Giannis and Bam. So that would be, Hero would be who I would have. Is that enough? I don't think so. I mean, draft picks, so on and forth. But I think that's the best place, the best fit for Giannis. Okay. All this talk about Boston is ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. All right. Let's talk about splitting up. JB and JT is as foolhardy as splitting up Steph and Clay. Right. And Steph and Clay, actually, no, I'm not going there. JB and JT get along as well as Steph and Clay. People act like Steph and Clay spend their entire offseason together. Like their personal lives are identical. They're not. Steph obviously has his wife. He's doing his family thing, a number of charitable organizations. Clay, single guy. He's had his ups and downs relation-wise. He's on his boat. He's, I believe they both go to Lake Tahoe, play some golf. Fine. They're friendly, and they seem to be friends. Same thing with JB and JT. They're friendly. They're different people. Okay? They're different people. Jaylen Brown, number of philanthropic and community-based initiatives. Right? Tatum, same thing. He goes back down. Okay? St. Louis does things for his hometown, home state. Has his youngins running around. Okay, they don't have to be simpatico in everything. They don't have to go to concerts together and be as close as LeBron and D Wade were and are. They respect each other. They work well together. Okay, that's your foundation. Situation with the Celtics, they did the same ridiculousness. Okay, fell into the same trap that the Milwaukee Bucks did, which is undervaluing an NBA champion and perennial winner, Drew Holiday. I'm not hearing any talk about a second apron. The Celtics need to bring back Drew Holiday. That's what they need to do. Same way Golden State brought back Gary Payton II. They need to find a way to bring back Drew Holiday. If I'm Portland, I don't want to give him up because, again, what is he doing in Portland? The same things that he did in Boston. creating a culture, a continuity, a consistency to allow that team to compete, to have positive morale. Are they going to win the West? No. Can they stand strong in the West, make some playoffs appearances? Yes. Okay. Shaden Sharp, Klingon, Scoot. But they have a good, nice balance of veteran. You got, Grant, obviously Dame, Drew, Avija. Okay. They're not up there with the San Antonios, the Oklahoma Cities, Houston, if they can ever get their mind right. Who knows what's going on in Houston? Did everything right, and then the linchpin that they believed was going to be their veteran presence and leader decided to jettison them. So what are you going to do? We've officially reached, if there's no AC, I'm not coming season. Yeah. It's graduation season. I love seeing all these pictures. Folks going for communion, and which is great to see. Just double check, and then we'll come back to this. Now, you want to talk about, and you know something? And I can appreciate the rhetoric from Brad Stevens, not afraid to make big deals. You know who was not afraid to make a big deal? The GM for Milwaukee, when he traded for Dame, gave away Drew, gave away boatload of picks, gave away important role players, and what did it get them? Okay? Nothing. So congratulations on that big move that and again, there was pressure from Giannis. That's another point. There's a reason superstar players are superstar players, and superstar general managers and presidents of basketball operation, i.e. Rob Pelinka. Yes, I said what I said. And obviously the greatest of all time, Jerry West. They're different. Sam Presti. Star says, well, I need this and I need that, or I'm going to leave. So you give him what he wants, which tanks your team, and now he's going to leave anyway. Okay? Milwaukee should have run it back with Drew and Coach Bud. All right? That's what they should do. Let me just get a couple things. Middlesex Magic balling. Good to see. Gotta come over here and clip this. We finish on this. Get ready to head west. Make sure our socials are good. It's a little bit late, but we rocking and rolling, folks. No end in sight. Okay? Miami. All right? Or maybe it's the team, Toronto, you got 18 small forwards. Maybe Toronto sees a way to pair Giannis with Scotty Barnes. Dallas, Masai Ujiri knows his business. Giannis and Cooper do a lot of the same things, but still. Okay, I just don't see it happening in Boston. Don't see it working in Boston. Don't see it happening. Brad Stevens, you shouldn't have given up Drew, period, end of story. You got by, you finessed it during this regular season because the East was in disarray. All right. Shouldn't have given up Drew. Right. That was the X factor. Put JT and JB right where they needed to be in positions to be successful. Then Derek White was allowed to just run wild, get all the open shots that he wanted. Okay, your Peyton Pritchards can now cook. All right. Oh, and then now the cap. Oh, well, that's not going to work because of the salary cap and the second apron and the new ownership. And they don't look, bro. I said what I said. You want to blow it up for Giannis? It's not going to work in the Celtics' favor. I'm just not buying it. You have to completely reestablish their culture. Okay. Remember, Joe Mazzulla is a coach that needs tremendous support. He was the fourth coach on the staff. It was Ime. It was Will Hardy. It was Damon Stoudemire. Then it was Joe Mazzulla. And you took away all his support and you just left him out there. This is after the Celtics went to the finals in 2023. You just left him out there to kind of go ahead and fend for himself. Or went to the finals in 2022. Went to the finals in 2022. Okay. Won the finals in 2024. Denver got in 23. We got in 24. O.K.C. 25. Right. Mazzulla doesn't have any help. In 3. Gets mad dogged by the Miami Heat without Tyler Hero. And then what do you do, Brad Stevens, after the meltdown with MA and how it melted down a lot of things, culture-wise, staff-wise? Then you go out and you right the wrongs. You bring in a Sam Cassell as your lead assistant. You bring in a Charles Lee, okay, as another top assistant. We see what he's doing in Charlotte. You bring in Emil Jefferson to further fortify the bench. Then you bring in Jeff Van Gundy as a special consultant in the front office. Now you have a brain trust to support Joe Mazzulla, a very strong, and there it goes. But what happens after the 24 season? Jeff Van Gundy is headhunted by the LA Clippers and Daddy Warbucks, that being Steve Ballmer. Charles Lee headhunted or, gets an opportunity in Charlotte. We see what he's doing there. And those roles were not replaced. Who is the Jeff Van Gundy that they brought in? Why isn't Frank Vogel? By the way, Frank Vogel Dallas brought him in, right? Where is your former head coach to come in like a Tibbs, but Tibbs is on his way to Chicago? Mazzulla needs that level of support. Right? You gave him Sam Cassell, you gave him Charles Lee, you gave him Emil Jefferson, you gave him Jeff Van Gundy. You lost 2 of those very important pieces, and you have not replaced them. And then, so now with a staff that is not as robust, you want to bring in Giannis and all of his eccentricities and try to rebuild it with Giannis and JT or Giannis and JB. Miss me. Bring back Drew. You want to talk about the second apron? You should have signed him to a 2-year doggone deal in the beginning, which he would have accepted, knowing that the second apron was going to be as punitive as it is. The same way that the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Cat already had his deal in place. But these guys coming from La Cosa Nova, coming from the J. Wright Villanova tradition, having their eyes on the prize, the big picture, they were unselfish in the contract negotiations so they keep the team together. You would have got the same response from Drew. All right. And if I'm wrong on that, please show me that I'm wrong, but I don't believe I am. There's reported that Drew came in and he wouldn't accept a penny less because of some whatever. The way that Chris Paul wouldn't accept a penny less because he's the president of the NBA, Players Association. He's got to get all his money. So that just hamstrings teams. Because if they're devoting too much money, to an aging star, they can't invest in the young guys like they need to, and they don't win, which is why Chris Paul didn't win. One of the reasons. All right, all this, bring back Drew. Run it back. And beef up the doggone coaching staff. Give Mazzulla the help that he needs. All this talk, and myself first among it, about J.J. Redick and the job that he's doing with the Lakers, and how the Lakers always miss the play-in in the very competitive Western Conference, which is wild. And the guy just finished coaching grassroots basketball. His his niece's, youth team was his only coaching experience. Now he's coached the LA Lakers and has them in the playoffs 2 consecutive years, missing the play-in. What? But something, he has Nate McMillan and Scotty Brooks on his staff. He has a brain trust put in place by one Mr. Rob Pelinka. So Brad, as in use, yes, Stevens. Okay, respect the success. No teams have been, wanting you to get, coach this and do that. Committed to the Celtics. This progression, the same way that Danny Ainge went and headhunted you to take you from Butler, who you committed to long-term in those times. UCLA wanted him, Indiana wanted No, I'm staying at Butler. Okay, Danny Ainge made him an offer he couldn't receive to be the Celtics head coach. Then clearly recognized the value. Okay, so now what you're going to do, you'll move up. You'll become the next Danny Ainge. You'll put your replacement in place. You'll essentially be, like he is, a coach emeritus. But you're going to run, you're going to run the organization rather than just the team. And he's done a very good job. Was executive of the year before the Celtics were ousted in the first round. Okay, but they were ousted in the first round because a Philadelphia 76ers team who is better than the Celtics, pound for pound, because the Celtics don't have Drew Holiday, got healthy at the last minute and mad dogged them those last 3 games. Hadn't been healthy all season, got healthy for that quick 3 games, struck lightning in a bottle, and then the health deteriorated as it has all season, and the Knicks made short work of them. Okay? But that team's better. Yes, now it had nothing to do with JT being out with the Achilles, so on and forth. And if JT had played Game 7, yes, maybe he woulda, coulda, shoulda. The Celtics need a true floor general point guard. They need Drew Holiday. Right? I mean, it's tough to think of another pass-first, defensive wizard player that's 6'5", can guard 1 through 5. It's like, where do you find another Drew Holiday? He's one of one. Talking about this second April nonsense. Take the hit and win a championship. Right? Or you can, and again, this was the theory with Danny Ainge, that he was going to, why he dealt with all the chaos and drama that Kyrie brought, because Danny Ainge, rightfully so, saw that Kyrie had this connection with Kevin Durant, and that was going to be the tag team, so he wanted that to be in Boston. Danny Ainge wanted to blow up the JT, JB, Hayward, Kyrie, Al Horford situation, which was a championship situation. He wanted to blow that up for the stars. Unfortunately, he did, and we see how that worked in Brooklyn. Headstrong, sensitive superstars. Okay? That's where the Western, where the conference finals never happens. Okay? Now, I don't think the Celtics belong in the Giannis sweepstakes. Let it play out. Let the teams like the Miamis, maybe a dark horse to run. Let the teams that are, again, saying, like the Lakers have said, no, we're good. Want to keep Austin Reeves, want to keep what we have. All right. Hero returned to Wisconsin. Giannis head down to Milwaukee. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. All right, folks. Let's see how we're doing. We're good. Socials are good. Late night check-in as the weekend winds down. Beautiful thing. Nice weather. Said it. I'll say it again and again. Just get organized here. All right. Let's talk a little bit of culture. We'll shift gears. We're gonna we'll dive into O.K.C and the Spurs next episode, which is hopefully tomorrow. As that game gets going. And let me just pull up. Okay, so let's shift gears. Been hearing a lot about Michael Jackson movie. Rave reviews from everybody, actually. Which is, hey. Rave reviews. Let's we're gonna do some talk for the culture. Okay, so if a picture is worth that 1,000 words, let's get it. Because this picture right here, and this was brought up by Chris, as he discussed, that the project, which I was very skeptical of at first, given the enormity of Michael Jackson's impact on American culture, on music. I'm saying we need a 3-hour. We this needs to be, this is like Spike Lee and Malcolm X type of a project. All right, and not that this, because it's not 3 hours, but it did need to be 3 hours. The jury is out. This is, you got to see this, okay? And again, for me, very simple. From the director of Training Day. And when you talk about Antoine Fuqua, and those of you, right, out there, Training Day, right, you got to control your smiles and cries. You got to control your smiles and cries, because that's all you have. And nobody can take that from you, okay? Your Training Day, Detective Hoyt. You're talking about they're just college kids, all right? Detective Harris said they're going to get an education today. All right? So much, knowledge and perspective in Training Day. All right, and that was his directorial debut. Antoine Fuqua, number of different projects after that. Brooklyn's Finest, which I certainly appreciated very much. He's done a number of other things. Okay, but the standard that I'm well aware of, that I will back to the hilt, I think other people now, more people, because this people are, this is a solid, Oscar-worthy film. It's solid. It's very well done. Straight Outta Compton was very well done. Had some similar elements where, right, the family members stepped in to play those roles. Right, I felt like Straight Outta Compton should have won Oscars, at least been nominated. It's outstanding. Okay, and again, didn't need to be 3-4 hours, but they told the story the right way, in an impactful way. And got through to people. So, have I seen it? No. I got another rave review today, which get me to think. I got to make time to see this film. In my quote unquote busy schedule. It's like you're not too busy to do the things that really put wind in your sails. As I just go ahead and just real quick, let me just see these updates. So much, we gotta take a step back, right? Just keep flicking all this new stuff. Okay, got the update. Let's focus on the topic at hand. All right, so ensemble, powerful. Let me scroll back. A strong performance, according to many reports. Javar Jackson, capable leadership. Antoine Fuqua. I gotta make sure I see this. Obviously, no spoilers, but if you guys out there in television land have seen it, have opinions, have takes, certainly chime in. But for me, it's just been one after another of folks that, hey, Antoine Fuqua, he is who he is. All right. Okay. We're going to start winding down on this episode of SandCity Sports. Yes, Spurs and Oklahoma City are in the mix. We're going to get to that. Don't want to leave any storylines behind. We do want to discuss some of the greatest television series of all time and how they played out and what your thoughts are there. Plenty to get to, a lot to discuss, but we're going to start winding down with Slice of Life. On this check-in, signs and wonders. All right, let's go into our Slice of Life. we wind down. Talking this NBA draft about talking this NBA draft about, let's see. Yes, sir. Wizards possibly trading down. Got the number 1 pick. All right. Found this interesting. Okay, because remember, the Celtics had the number 1 pick and traded down. Okay. Fultz was the odds-on favorite. They knew the Lakers were going with Lonzo. Went ahead and traded down. Okay. Danny Ainge finds a loophole. Right, when he's a Celtics GM, that allowed him to realize Markelle Fultz wasn't the best player in the draft. Execs are not allowed to scout high school players, except for specific high school events. Can only attend the AAU games if it was their own kid. His son played endless AAU games. Shout out to Babson. Didn't know Danny Ainge's son went to Babson. It's a strong business school. Won the 2017 Division III National Championship. So he's there to see his son, but also to scout Markelle Fultz. Gets that intelligence. Okay, he had his doubts about Fultz. This kid from Duke. Right, seems to be a better player.
I think this is the loopholes and the crazy rules around the NBA. NBA executives are not allowed to scout high school players except for very strict things like Hoop Summit, Adidas Nations, and then obviously any national team play, under 17, under 19, under 21.
Oh, hold on. Let's come back to that.
This is the weirdest thing. This is the loopholes and the crazy rules around the NBA. NBA executives are not allowed to scout high school players except for very strict things like Hoop Summit, Adidas Nations, and then obviously any national team play, under 17, under 19, under 21, etc. With the exception, obviously, if you are a father and your son plays AAU. And so you can go to as many AAU tournaments as you want because you're there with your son.
Such a great loophole.
Danny Ainge's youngest son played AAU against Markelle Fultz like a bajillion times. Danny was able to, in essence, get first look at Markelle Fultz and have access to people in and around that time well before anyone else did. And so the workout must have been just the cherry on top. But Danny knew already, oh, I don't want this dude. I got the number 1 pick and I don't want this dude. But he didn't make that obviously known to Brian. And so BC is like, oh, this isn't the workout. This is the weirdest thing. This is the loopholes and the crazy rules around the NBA. NBA executives are not allowed to scout high school players except for very strict things like Hoop Summit, Adidas Nations, and then obviously any national team play, under 17, under 19, under 21, etc.
So that's Danny Ainge, had the family connection. Was able to be at the high leverage tournaments. Made the correct read on Markelle Fultz. The rest is history. Speaking of which, this last weekend, talking about the Middlesex Magic, right? Women's Under Armour program. All right. Magic. Okay. And by the way, again, the stars of tomorrow, right? You know, again, talk about the culture, the habits, so on and forth, right? These live period weekends. There's a reason the sneaker companies, the sneaker circuits play their games when they do. Okay. They want their marquee tournaments, their marquee weekends to line up with the live period when the coaches can actually be there, right, doing the scouting. All right, there's a method to the madness, which I think more and more people, since you're crisscrossing the country and paying money hand over fist, right, should be aware of. Right, as you're making this, notable investment of time and treasure. And I get it, you're on your journey, you're on your success journey to make it and all that stuff. But understand the journey. Avoid the burnout and the resentment that happens. When you're going on a hope and a prayer, and not necessarily understanding the dynamics of grassroots basketball. Okay, so Under Armour was going on this weekend. Baby, what we finna do? As you see, some of the highlights from, we'll run that back. Baby, what we finna do? All right, that's the type of mode, type of time. Okay, let's come up real quick. All right, we got something. All right. Let's come a little bit more local. Here in the Commonwealth, Zero Gravity XL. Local battle between the Dana Barrows Gladiators and IQ5. This was out in Leominster. Okay. And these are a lot of talented players, folks. Okay, might not play for sneaker teams, but as you can see, very good. Getting their spots. Yeah. Guys are getting right. These teams can beat the sneaker teams. Okay. Now let's see what IQ5 has to IQ 5, not to be. They got shooters. Floater. Bigs. They got size and skilled size. You can just tell from a distance. It's a big team, physical team. Run that back. So again, the stars of tomorrow. You know who you would see at an event like this in years past? Tyler Kolek. You know Tyler Kolek, who's going to be on the court in the Garden for the Eastern Conference Finals. Middlesex Magic prospect, player, before the Middlesex Magic had their sneaker deal. So they're playing on the hoop group circuit, or they're playing on the zero gravity circuit. All right. So this is where Duncan Robinson would have been playing. Okay? So don't sleep on these kids, is my point. And if you're, one of the players that's not on the sneaker circuit, which is the overwhelming majority of grassroots players, don't sleep on yourself. Keep grinding, keep getting better. All right. Donovan Clingan of UConn National Championship fame, currently playing good basketball for the Portland Trailblazers. Right. Also a non-sneaker, played for the Spartans. Tough team here in New England. Okay. Not a sneaker team.
How many people do you think are in the conversation to be the number one overall pick?
I think it's probably just one. I'm a Darren Peterson guy more than most, and I don't know where the public falls on Peterson now. It was obviously a roller coaster throughout the college season. It was there was a lot of the knives came out. We'll just put it that way.
The best version of him is better than any player in this draft.
Darren Peterson was the most polished freshman guard I've ever seen in college basketball. Like he looked like an NBA player on a college basketball court at a level that I've never seen from a freshman before, because I think a lot of these guys come into college basketball having been superior athletes, having that's one of the things that would be a concern with the Bansa, if there is a concern, is like he's so much more athletic, so much longer, that he's never really being challenged when he drives and hits his little pull-up jump shots. There's never really a hand in his face because he's such a better athlete.
How many people do you think are in the conversation to be the number one overall pick?
I think it's probably just one. I'm a Darren Peterson guy more than most, and I don't know where the public falls on Peterson now. It was obviously a roller coaster.
Roller coaster year.
It was there was a lot of the knives came out.
Let's get one more take on this. And
the best version of him is better than any player in this draft.
Darren Peterson was the most polished
version?
freshman guard I've ever seen in college basketball. Like he looked like an NBA player on a college basketball court at a level that I've never seen from a freshman before, because I think a lot of these guys come into college basketball having been superior athletes, having that's one of the things that would be a concern with the Bansa, if there is a concern, is like he's so much more athletic, so much longer, that he's never really being challenged when he drives and hits.
All right, that's where the buck stops for me. I fundamentally, and it's a great segment, good takes. Rosillo, who's got Cape connections, grew up on MV. Shout out to Ryan Rosillo. I understand the narrative about Darren Peterson, his skill set, and what he can do, his efficiency, yada yada yada. But he has zero motor, and Devansa being from the city champions in Brockton, he's 0 to 100 real quick. Okay, so yeah, this seems to be like it could be a win-win. Whereas Washington would take Peterson and Devansa would go to Utah, where he wants to go anyway. right? Or, these two, it seems like it'll work out. Demancey seems to want to stay in Utah. Good, stay. And unless the Wizards, are you gung-ho about Demancey? Do you have a problem with Peterson? Do you have a problem with Cam Boozy? Do you have a problem with Caleb Wilson? I mean, they're going to get I feel Demancey is the best player. I feel Peterson is the best prospect, but I'm not believing. What I mean by that is I'm not believing in his potential, right? You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. His wishy-washy season, I'm out. Okay? Because when the going gets tough, I feel he's going to be wishy-washy. When the going gets tough, I feel that AJ is going to lean into his Brockton City of Champion roots and give you some Rocky Marciano and Marvelous Marvin Hagler and get to knocking folks out. So, Team Demancey, I hope if he wants to stay in Utah. Peterson, go to Washington or Washington trade down and trade that. Let Peterson go wherever he's going to go. Wherever he's going to go. That'd be a good one for everybody. But I'm not buying the whole, Demancey, things are so because he's so. No, he's a worker, and Peterson is not.
From here, if you're Minnesota, it's not one of those things where you look at this roster and you feel like there's like some substantial weakness. Internally, they're thinking point guard, and they have been for a long time. But it's like, do I think Darius Garland is the talent add that suddenly shifts Minnesota into a tier with San Antonio and O.K.C? No, I don't. To me, it actually starts with the Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle front court. I think that one of those two guys probably gets moved this summer. Julius, ironically, I would argue is harder to move now because of how poorly he played in this postseason run. And Rudy Gobert obviously had a huge moment in the first round against Nikola Jokic. I don't think they're going to trade Rudy. I think that Tim Conley loves Rudy. I think he views them as fundamental to the identity of the team. But like Rudy has ironically played himself into a position of value. I think that they could probably flip him and get either draft compensation back that they could use to try to pursue a player, or maybe they could turn that into depth at a specific position group. I just think Minnesota's tweaks have to be more geared towards how do we space out Wemby rather than let's bring in a point guard, but then Rudy Gobert is still our fundamental problem, and our talent level isn't where it needs to be to compete with O.K.C. and with Minnesota and San Antonio.
Good stuff, strong stuff. Again, I'm just gonna, for me, and that was well said, so on and forth. This Minnesota team, as talented as the Spurs. Obviously, the Ragu loss hurt, but you have the guards. Dasuno, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. He came in, filled in, balled out. Their front court is loaded with Rudy, with Randall, with Naz Reid as well. You could throw Jaden, McDaniels in there. 6'9", 6'10", a very versatile player. Obviously Ant-Man. So they're loaded. And they got mad dogged and they threw in the towel, period. Okay? So no, I'm not trading Rudy and Randall. Okay, they just need to get a little bit more chutzpah and dig down. These tweaks that you want to make, okay, we're bringing this play. They have scoring. They have all the pieces. The injuries hurt them. Okay? So I thought Ragu would have added that toughness, that surplus value, as he does. But Minnesota, the same thing as Detroit. It comes down to your leader, your superstar, the person walking point, to just say, I'm the best player on the court, period, end of story. And you're going to acknowledge that, or I'm going to make you acknowledge that. Point, period, end of story. Okay? I think Minnesota has all of the other pieces. What is going on here? Yes, indeed. I thank you, folks. SandCity. Go. I am your host, that Kid, artist for me known as Andre King. Thank you so much for tuning